This is Ella Mills, who in 2017 took on the breakfast cereal giants and is predicted to make a revenue of £20 million in 2022.
I mean, they're delicious, absolutely delicious, but they are so sweet. They feel like pudding versus maybe like 7 a.m. preschool breakfast. Sugar's the second ingredient, and they don't really have any fibre, and they don't really have any protein. Don't think it's probably what we should all be having for breakfast every day.
The battle of Britain's breakfast cereal has been fought for decades between two main players, American giant Kellogg's.
For most people, Kellogg's was the name for cereals.
7 out of 10 households in the UK have got a Kellogg product in the cupboard.
And from Northamptonshire, Weetabix.
You know, we're delighted in knocking the points off their sales in order to increase ours.
Everybody wants to work on the leading cereal brand in the UK.
In the fight for sales, nothing is off limits.
The sugar was a way of getting the kid to eat grain-based cereal and milk. And frankly, if you didn't put the sugar on, they wouldn't eat it.
And as our tastes have changed, the battle to be number one has become fiercer than ever.
The big boys are being challenged.
You're going to have to fight these guys on the beaches. You mustn't give them an inch.
It was the biggest threat, I think, that the company had ever faced. No question about it.
This is the story of the fight for Britain's breakfast table.
You're never untouchable.
Rob Morgan is a titan of the food industry. For nearly a decade at Kellogg's, he made sure we'd had our cornflakes.
Very nice Kellogg's cornflakes. I spent every Thursday afternoon when I was at Kellogg's going to taste tests when we would test the product straight off the line. They are kernels of corn that have just been flattened and steamed and cooked and toasted, and then a little bit of sugar and salt added, but not a lot has changed. It's the mother of all cereals, the one that started it all.
But it was a fight between two brothers that gave us the cornflake. In 1894, John Harvey and William Keith Kellogg invented a healthy breakfast for patients convalescing in their sanatorium in Battle Creek, Michigan.
It was made from good grains, and it was seen as a good thing for people who are recovering from illness.
But despite its popularity and health benefits, the brothers disagreed over making a profit out of their creation.
One of the brothers decided that there was a commercial opportunity, and he wanted to develop the product and actually sell it to people outside the sanatorium. His brother, John Harvey, didn't and resisted this and saw it purely as something that was an altruistic move by them that was purely for their own patients.
With brotherly love in short supply, William Keith left the patients behind and decided to set up shop.
W.K. Kellogg went on to establish Kellogg's, and the rest is history.
After modifying his flakes with malt, salt and a spoonful of sugar to sweeten them, they became a cheap, nutritious and easy breakfast for the American masses. But when they first came to Britain, us Brits didn't love them.
British consumers were a little bit suspicious at first of this new American invention. So the shift from the classic British breakfast of bacon and eggs to cereals didn't happen overnight.
But Kellogg's from Michigan won us over, and in 1938 opened Europe's largest cereal factory in Manchester. From then on, they pushed their healthy credentials and tried to persuade us they were good for us.
Only the original carries the Kellogg's name, and there are none crisper, none fresher, none better. Kellogg's cornflakes, the only ones fortified with vitamins.
Kellogg's cornflakes had well and truly pushed our traditional fried grub aside.
When you've got something that's simple but difficult to make and difficult to replicate, it's a great magical formula to have.
But recognising the potential of a healthy breakfast cereal, two wheat millers from Northamptonshire made the deal of a lifetime.
It still crumbles a bit out the packet, doesn't it, as it normally did? But it's a great biscuit, and it's a fantastic product. And you wouldn't want anything better than that for breakfast, or any other time of the day, for that matter. So I'm Martin George. My grandfather and father bought Weetabix in 1936.
Invented by the Australians, Weetabix was a healthy breakfast biscuit. The George family cleaned the wheat for one of Weetabix's factories, but the company had fallen on hard times.
Unfortunately, they failed to pay for it, and so father swapped the shares for the wheat, and so that's how they came to own it.
The George family had acquired a secret, the simplest of recipes that has gone head-to-head with cornflakes for decades. Its simplicity was its biggest strength.
So Weetabix has always been made in the same way, mixed. The various ingredients together, the malt and the sugar and the wheat, and the whole thing then goes extruded into these moulds that are made of this shape, very difficult to reproduce.
It was an irritant for us. It was a versatile cereal, very solid, very dependable. It was very good for young infants as their first food. So there was a lot about the Weetabix biscuit that was actually very good. So in a sense, it filled a gap in the market that we weren't filling.
There was no love lost between the two cereal rivals.
Kellogg's were, a multinational American-based company, and we were a British company. That was a good start. And, we delighted in knocking the points off their sales in order to increase ours. I imagine they began to think that this little biscuit was going to give them a bit of trouble if it wasn't too careful.
By the 1950s, Kellogg's had over 50% of the cereal market, and their share was about to increase. With the end of war rationing, Kellogg's created a new cornflake-based cereal with an added ingredient that hadn't been readily available for years. They introduced a new fun-filled character to sell it to the nation's children.
Super energy? I need my Kellogg's Sugar Frosted Flakes. They're delicious, sugar toasted, full of super energy.
I think sugar is got a different perception perhaps today than it did. The desire for sugar, the desire for nutrition was definitely something that was positive. Obesity was not an issue. In fact, very much the reverse.
In those days, people added sugar to their tea and coffee, they sprinkled sugar on fruit, they put sugar on desserts, and they put sugar on their cereals. Now, Kellogg's then responded to this by simply giving people the sugar on the flake that they would otherwise have added themselves.
Kellogg's new sugary flakes were a hit, and their success encouraged them to come up with more sugary brands and cartoon characters, including an infamous monkey.
Go-Go Pops. Cocoa Pops. After school, at bedtime, or for breakfast.
Kellogg saw the opportunity of bringing in brands that were very specifically targeted to children. And when I say targeted, in terms of the packaging, the use of characters on pack, and the food itself, which generally was sweeter and more playful.
Despite the profits being made by Kellogg's, Weetabix refused to change their recipe and stuck to their tried and tested formula.
Weetabix was seen as a very nutritious cereal, which you couldn't always say for sugar puffs and different things of that sort. I don't mean to be disparaging about that, but it was seen as very much better than that.
The thing we said when I was there was that you had to get your kid to eat something in the morning for breakfast. And what were the alternatives? If you gave them toast, you wouldn't give them a dry piece of toast, you would put butter on it and jam. Well, butter and jam are fat and sugar. You put honey on, which is high in sugar. So the sugar was a way of getting the kid to eat grain-based cereal and milk. And in those days, if you didn't put the sugar on, they wouldn't eat it.
Sales of Frosties and Cocoa Pops soared, leaving Weetabix languishing. They now needed a game-changing new product of their own.
The only way as a company they could really grow was to bring in a wider range of products. And that obviously comes with a huge danger of investment and cost. So it was fraught with risk.
Kellogg's has always been a really big business. Weetabix was a smaller business with less brands. The innovation at Weetabix was a lot slower. So when we put the money behind something, we knew it was going to work.